is here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, we have the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Mr. Sofka, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing well, brother. And we're inside of a very festive fantasy football power hour. Got the Christmas tree up. I got my Baby Yoda Christmas shirt on. So inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, it is time for you and I to talk about Week 16 in the NFL. The games this week are going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a game on Christmas Day instead of Thursday, a game on Friday. That Christmas Day game will be played Friday, December 25th, Minnesota at New Orleans in the middle of the day. Then there will be 3 Saturday games, which almost feels like Thanksgiving, but on a Saturday. For Christmas, we have Tampa at Detroit. We have San Francisco at Arizona, which is going to be on Amazon Prime. And then we have Miami at Las Vegas. Then we go back to our Sunday schedule, and then we have Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. So the NFL switching some things up here and giving us a unique schedule that will start on Christmas, continue on the Saturday after Christmas, and then go back into our Sunday, Monday. So we will have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday football. Make sure you set your fantasy lineups as required for those days. And with that being stated, Mr. Sofka, it is time for us to get into these matchups. So we'll head to Christmas. Minnesota at New Orleans. What do you have?
Yeah, well, before I get into the game, it's an interesting fact here. I did research this a little bit because I thought, wow, a Friday game. That means that the NFL will have played on all 7 days of the week this year. So I looked into that a little bit more. There's only been 10 Friday games since 1970 when the AFL-NFL merger. The last time they played a Friday game in the NFL was in 2009. And another interesting point, never before had there been 5 days utilized in any weekly calendar during an NFL season, and this year we had 7 days when we played this game on Christmas. It's crazy, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, it's nuts. And so for the first time ever, the NFL has played all 7 days of the week in a season, which is pretty incredible. And, I mean, Tuesday games, Wednesday games, unheard of, Mike. And I thank you for doing that research because it is really cool to have as a background nugget. And the reality of the fact that we've seen the NFL on all 7 days of the week is pretty cool.
Yes, it is. All right, here we go. Look, the Saints are the Saints. They're a good team. They're a better team with Breeze at the quarterback, of course. They did lose that heartbreaker at home to Kansas City. I thought it was a good back-and-forth game, especially the fourth quarter. But, Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is on he's on the rise, and Drew Brees is on the way down. Let's call it what it is. Drew Brees coming off 11 cracked ribs and a punctured lung and was only out 4 weeks. So this is going to be something to continue to watch them. I think the best football is ahead of the Saints, and I think the Saints are going to be looking good. And the Vikings, they barely lost last week to the Bears, but if I'm a New Orleans fan, I'm a little more excited than if I'm a Minnesota fan. For instance, the quarterbacks, both quarterbacks, I don't think are where they need to be. I don't think you can start either one of these guys. I got Breeze at 22 and Kirk Cousins at 29. And the running backs, of course, if you're still playing, you're in a championship. And you probably have Alvin Kamara. You probably have Delvin Cook. These guys are 1 and 2 on the running back list this week. I can't really play any of the wide receivers on New Orleans, but I'm going to give you a little nugget here. Marquez Galloway, the rookie, is going to be activated this week. If you're playing daily and you need a flyer that's real cheap, I take a chance on him because Breeze is going to try to get him involved early because he's not getting production out of Emmanuel Sanders or Traquan Smith. Michael Thomas is injured, and Jared Cook is all but disappeared this year. He's number 20, by the way, this week. On the other side of the ball, Minnesota, Justin Jefferson, what a phenomenal job. He's number 10 on the wide receiver rankings. Adam Thielen, 34. And Irv Smith, Kyle Rudolph dinged up. Irv Smith, number 18 on the tight end rankings. Looking at this game, I'm going to go with New Orleans, of course, because New Orleans plays real well at home. Drew Brees plays real well at home. And that defense of the Saints is playing a lot better. So I like the Saints in this one.
Yeah, Minnesota's done some good things this year, and they've impressed at times where you think of them as more of one of the forgotten teams, but they've been able to stay in it, and that's thanks to Delvin Cook. I mean, that's thanks to if you have Delvin Cook on your fantasy roster, you probably had a surge here in the middle of the season, and you probably maybe potentially even pushed yourself into the postseason because of it. So congratulations to you on that. But for me, I agree. I think the Saints are going to win this game. I think they're going to be able to take care of business and handle this one. But that doesn't mean that there's not fantasy value on both sides. So let me start with Lake Minnetonka. If we go over to Minnesota right now, Delvin Cook is obviously worth the play in this matchup. Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, one of the best rookies as far as who's stepped up here. So I like that. Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph, it's hard to pick either one of these guys and believe that something great's going to come out of it. I mean, Irv is kind of a low-end one, high-end two at tight end, but Thielen and Jefferson are worth the play. Delvin Cook, absolutely. On the other side of it, Drew Brees, kind of underwhelming. I make him a quarterback two in this matchup. I just don't think his numbers are as great. Hopefully you have somebody better out there for you on the team, or on your squad, on your specific team. Alvin Kamara is definitely worth the play as well. And Juwan Johnson coming up here, a season high 4 targets. He's the sneaky flex that you can have in this one. But Traquan Smith is hurt and he's been underwhelming. And then Emmanuel Sanders as well. Michael Thomas. I mean, this has been a very weird season where Michael Thomas is there and then he's not. And then is he hurt? Is he not hurt? Is it COVID? Is he fighting with the team? Does he want to be traded? There's so many things going on with Michael Thomas, arguably the number 1 wide receiver in the nation, who has spent a lot of your fantasy season pissing you off not being out there. So, hopefully he gets better from his ankle injury, and we pray and we hope that. But the best value for you on the team is really Alvin Kamara and maybe an outside shot at Latavius Murray. Drew Brees, like I said, lower end 1, higher end 2. There's more value fantasy-wise on Minnesota side, but I think the win will go to New Orleans. Next game, and that's a Christmas Day. Next game up on Saturday, December 26th. 3 games, 2 on NFL Network, 1 on Amazon Prime. We'll start with Tampa Bay at Detroit. Mr. Sofka, what do you have for this?
Yeah, I was thinking you and I might want to make a trip up to Detroit here after the show. They're looking for a head coach. They're looking for a GM. They're looking for a special teams coach after an ill-advised fake punt with no authorization, no conferring with other coaches. The special teams coach from their own 29 decides to call a fake punt. He gets whacked. Detroit is a mess now. It's just come out this morning that Detroit, through contact tracing, may not have any defensive coaches on the sideline this weekend. So, Dan, you want to coach? You want to coach in the NFL? Let's go.
Is that through contact tracing, or is that just their nice way of saying we don't want their coaches to be out there?
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah. And if I was a coach in Detroit, I don't know if I want to be out there. Am I going to get whacked next? I mean, you did the GM, the head coach, the special teams guy. I got to think I'm packing. I'm packing my office. I can see the writing on the wall. I'm on my way out. And that's where Detroit is, and that's been their season. It's a shame because they've got some real talented players. But the team with the more talented players than this one, obviously, is Tampa. And Tampa has everything to play for. Detroit has, I don't know, here, I'm a young player. Give me some better game film. You're going to find some fantasy value, though, in a couple of those guys. On Detroit, one of the guys you're going to find fantasy value in is Deandre Swift. He's number 8 on the running back rankings. Kenny Galladay's dinged up. I don't know if he's going to play or not. Maybe I play Marvin Jones as a flex. Adrian Peterson, getting back to running backs, he's taking a big dive here now that DeAndre Swift looks like he's fully back. But if you're in a touchdown only or need a cheap flyer on daily, then you might want to look to him, but I got him in the 60s. The only guy I can count on to catch the ball is T.J. Hawkinson. T.J. Hawkinson, number 4 on the tight end rankings. Matt Stafford, number 23 on the quarterback rankings. On the other side, Tom Brady's the man. We all know he's the GOAT, number 5 on the quarterback rankings. Ronald Jones, man, buddy, every time I think you secure the job, something happens. You get dinged up, you get hurt, now you got COVID. Leonard Fournette, who was a healthy scratch in week 14, is all the way up to number 12 on the running back rankings this week. Mike Evans a little dinged up. I think he's going to make the game number 17 on the rankings. Chris Godwin, number 33. It was good to see Antonio Brown get in the mix. Last week was OG. It was old guy week. Antonio Brown got a touchdown. Dez Bryant got a touchdown. We'll get into that later. But Rob Gronkowski is the red zone target. He's number 8 on the tight end rankings. Looking at this game, one team has everything to play for. The other team, who's at home, has nothing to play for. Look for Tampa to make quick work of this game.
Yeah, I got Tampa in this matchup as well. And, Mike, yeah, we could go up to Detroit, and I'll take that job. That's fine with me. I'll at least know that whether we win, lose, or draw, we'll have 4 years, but you and I don't like to lose. So, we'll do everything we possibly can to win. I'll put it to you like that, and I'll bring my guy Johnny Bones up with me, and he's a big old Detroit fan. I'm sure he can help us out as well. And there you go. There's your coaching staff. You at least got some of those people doing it. I'll let Johnny be the GM. Mike and I will go down there and coach and do what we need to do. So we'll be out in Detroit. It's been a couple of years since I've been there for the NCAA tournament, but I'll find my way back to Detroit. I don't mind that. I'm also going to go with Tampa Bay in this game. No surprise. Shouldn't be a surprise to any of you. Josh Rosen's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, by the way, and then he went and signed with the 49ers. So Rosen's been all over the place. He went from the West Coast to the East Coast, he went from the West Coast to the East Coast to another team in the same state, back to the West Coast. Tom Brady, though, and, obviously you got to play him in this matchup. Man got me 49 points last week. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans worth the play. Antonio Brown worth the flex. Rob Gronkowski, a lower-end one, but still worth the play because they're playing Detroit. He might have a career day. Leonard Fournette, I don't trust him. I would say maybe a third string for you, maybe a running back 3 because he's been so up and down this year. Detroit, DeAndre Swift, then DeAndre Swift, then probably DeAndre Swift. And if I forgot to tell you, DeAndre Swift. And then TJ Hawkinson could be another move for you as well. Outside of that, I don't see much value in Adrian Peterson because DeAndre Swift is back. So let's go Tampa Bay on that one. San Francisco at Arizona, the team that drafted Josh Rosen versus the team that just signed Josh Rosen. Not that either one of them is going to see Josh Rosen out there, but San Francisco needs help at quarterback because, thank goodness, they drafted C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins. Here we go with San Francisco on a season that is so far away from their Super Bowl run, where they have had to play at least 3 different quarterbacks and had COVID-19 issues and injury issues, and at some points made you feel like if they could even field a team. See, the only team that I know is trying not to play more than San Francisco are the Florida State Seminoles. San Fran at Arizona, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, this is 2 teams headed in opposite directions. San Fran has started more guys or had more guys on the 53-man roster than anybody else. They're close to 80 guys have been on a 53-man roster. They've done complete turnovers on starters, COVID, injuries. It's just been a wreck. Most recently here, Raheem Mostert is now dinged up, and that's where your guy of the week. I talked about this guy a couple weeks ago to pick him up, and slowly but surely here he is, Jeff Wilson, number 20 on the running back rankings this week. Brandon Ayuk getting more looks. He's number 11. He's the guy. He's pretty much the only guy. Deebo Samuel's hurt now as well, but another pass-catching guy who's a sneaky red zone guy is Jordan Reed, number 15 on the tight end rankings. C.J. Beathard is not a bad quarterback, but he's just not that good. Nick Mullins was a little better than him, and he's injured, so I got C.J. Beathard at 25. You're going to find more value on the other side of the ball with Arizona. Kyler Murray, number 2 on the quarterback rankings. Deandre Hopkins, what a catch last week. He had a fantastic catch, and Larry Fitzgerald had a fantastic catch. If you haven't seen those, you got to see them. I don't think 2 other guys in the league could have made those 2 catches in DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald. Again, DeAndre Hopkins, number 2 on the wide receiver rankings. Fitzgerald and Kirk, maybe a flex for you or a wide receiver 4 if you're in a deep league. And I can't start any tight ends from Arizona. This game's going to be all Arizona. They have more to play for. I think they're going to win this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Arizona in this matchup as well. I said that they would be a sneaky team. I said, look out for Seattle and what Seattle could do this season, but, that Arizona was not going to be far behind. and they haven't been. And credit to them for what they've been able to do. When we look at the standings of the NFC West as it is right now, Seattle 10-4, LA 9-5, Arizona 8-6, and San Fran is 5-9. And the playoff picture is starting to get more and more real. The funny thing about it is, if you're 5-9, you're eliminated from the playoffs in the NFC unless you're in the NFC East. So if you're 5-9, you're out in the NFC West. In the NFC East, 4-9-1, 5-9, and 6-8 are all in play right now, as none of those teams have decided where they're going. Detroit is out at 5-9, and so it's just crazy to look across the rest of the NFC divisions and see 5-9 is not good enough. But in the NFC East, 5-9 is one spot out of first place. So pretty crazy. The AFC is obviously commanding this year with a bunch of 10-win teams, 11-win teams, and a 13-1 team in Kansas City. So just to make a little note of that, for me on this side of it, when we look at this matchup between San Francisco and Arizona, San Francisco, again, we've talked about it. Unfortunately, they've gone through a lot of injuries and COVID-19 protocol. My prayers and my hopes are with them. Josh Rosen will be backing up C.J. Beathard in case they need him. Jeff Wilson Jr., clear of the injury report. He's a flex guy for you. I would say a low-end 2, high-end 3, because I do think he could do some good things. Brandon Ayuk is a flex player for you as well. On the other side of it, the value is obviously in Arizona. In Kyler Murray and Kenyon Drake, who drops a little bit, but Chase Edmonds is on the injury report. That could help him out a little bit. So look for Kenyon Drake to maybe have a better game this week because they're playing San Fran, who's depleted. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, worth the play for you. Larry Fitzgerald is hurt right now. He didn't practice with a groin injury. If he's able to go, he's a lower-end flex. Christian Kirk is also a lower-end flex. The value is in Hop, Drake, and Murray that you need to play for Arizona, and I got Arizona winning the game once again. Mike, next one up is Jason Lucas. Him and his wife, these are their two favorite teams going up against each other. I can only imagine how schizophrenic it's going to be in the household as Miami takes on Las Vegas in Las Vegas. What do you got?
Yeah, Miami. Every time I think this team is done, something happens. Andrew Van Ginkel makes a big play. Or last week, they carve up the Patriots' defense. Salvin Ahmed and Matt Breida, of all people here, combined for 208 yards. I mean, and then you look at the other side of the ball here. You look at Vegas, and they continue to have that sieve defense. They let Justin Herbert throw 314 yards and 2 touchdowns. You can't let a rookie come into your crib and do that to you. It just doesn't work, and I wouldn't be surprised that there's some more changes in Vegas. Gruden's there. Gruden's the man. Oh, and by the way, you mentioned Josh Rosen before. He's going to cross the bay next year and go to what used to be Oakland. Then he's going to hop on a plane and go to Vegas because John Gruden's a quarterback collector. That's what he does. He fixes them all, him and Bill Belichick. They can take your unwanted players and make them Pro Bowlers. And these guys have egos, and that's why let me get back on the game here. I get off on these tangents here. The Vegas is 7-7. They still have a little something to play for, and the Dolphins have everything to play for. I'm surprised that the Dolphins, I'm surprised that Tua is playing as well as he is. He's number 12 on my rankings this week. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, Derrick Carr is injured. He's dinged up. Marcus Mariota came in, did a pretty good job mopping things up, but it just wasn't enough in the end. But Marcus Mariota is number 24 on the quarterback rankings this week. For the running backs, Josh Jacobs, number 11. I can't start Dante Booker anywhere. And on the other side of the ball for Miami, it's a plug-and-play for them. These guys have been hurt all year, in and out, and every one of them. So that's coaching. That's game plan. That's scripting. That's taking the talent that your players have and putting them in the best possible position to be successful, which will make you successful. That's the sign of good coaching right there in Miami. Myles Gaskin should be back. He'll be number 29 on the ranking. Salvin Ahmed, number 33. And I don't know if Matt Breida is going to be able to get the ball with Myles Gaskin back, but it doesn't bode real well for fantasy players. But as you see, there's value in them low enough if you're in a flex or a running back free situation. Devontae Parker struggling to get back from an injury, number 45 on the rankings. And Lyndon Valden Jr. is a guy we've talked about in the past here. In some leagues, he's eligible for a running back or a wide receiver. So that's a perfect guy. He may even be out there on the wire still yet. Search for him. He's only number 55 on the rankings, but this guy's a playmaker. This guy's going to make something happen. I wouldn't be surprised if he does something spectacular this week. Mike Gesicki, number 19 on the tight end rankings. Of course, one of the top tight ends in the league is Darren Waller for the Las Vegas Raiders, number 2 on the rankings. And I'm not really sure about any wide receiver for Vegas. Maybe Nelson Aguilar. He's dinged up a little bit, but Hunter Renfro's had some good plays as well, but he's struggling to come back from a concussion. I'm going to have to go with Miami on the road. I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to make big plays, and look out for some big plays from some no-name guys.
Yeah, Lynn Bowden Jr., you bring it up. I mean, the man's he had 6 catches on 7 targets last week. He also ran the ball once on the team. Lynn Bowden Jr. right now is a wide receiver as far as ESPN takes him, a 2020 third-round pick out of Kentucky. And here's the crazy thing about it. Lynn Bowden Jr. was drafted by the Vegas Raiders, and now he's playing for the Dolphins against the Vegas Raiders. So, could be a game to make him pay for drafting him but not keeping him. Salvon Ahmed, 122 yards and a touchdown, 5.3 yards a carry this past week with 23 carries in the game. So, a lot of good there. Tua's worth the play in this one. Salvon Ahmed also worth the play in this one. I like Lynn Bowden as a sneaky flex in this as well. Mike Gesicki is limited right now. If he doesn't go, then Durham Smythe is worth the play as well, as he could get you a touchdown. And I don't know, I got a feeling like he would get you maybe 4 yards, but he'd get you a touchdown in this if you need some help. Josh Jacobs is back and doing his thing. I don't know how good his thing's going to look against the Dolphins, who are 9-5, but he is worth the play for you. Outside of that, so Nelson Aguilar and Zay Jones are lower on the wide receiver charts here right now. I would say that Nelson Aguilar is a wide receiver 4, and then everybody else after that. Darren Waller's where the value is. The man had, I think, almost 40 points this past week in our league, and Josh Jacobs is your second best option. But more of it's on Miami, and I'm going to go with the Dolphins in this matchup to win the game. So, Lynn Bowden, let's see what you got against the team that drafted you. Atlanta at Kansas City, Mike. What do you have for this?
Wow, Atlanta's one of those teams that can jump up and bite anyone at any given time. We've seen that from them. And Kansas City, as we know, is one of the top teams, if not the top team, returning Super Bowl champs. And, of course, they're led by Patrick Mahomes. No need to tell you, he's QB1 this week. He's an excellent quarterback, but you already know that. And you're probably in your league championship. And if you were able to double down and get the other side of that, Travis Kelce, number 1 on the tight end rankings, and Tyreek Hill, number 3 on the wide receiver rankings. I can't really play any of the wide receivers. Yeah, it's great to see them get involved. Maybe McCole Hardman with a toe drag swag in a quarter of the end zone, or Sammy Watkins, but I can't count on that. Number 60 is Sammy Watkins. I can't play anybody else. The guy I am going to count on for Kansas City is Le'Veon Bell. I talked about picking him up last week before there was an injury. I like doing that. If there's backups out there, you're going into the playoffs, you probably have somebody on your bench you could take out. You could stack running backs just in case this happens. And sure enough, what happened? CEH goes down with an injury. Now Le'Veon Bell is catapulted into the starting role, number 23 on the running back rankings. Atlanta, Matt Ryan. He's stacked some stats recently, but he's got to do more to drive this team to wins. But he's looked okay. He's number 13 on the quarterback rankings. Unfortunately, I can't start any of the running backs. Todd Gurley is, well, he's Todd Gurley. He's going to be no more pretty soon. He's only on a 1-year contract. Brian Hill's had his chances. I thought he was going to flourish. I was wrong. Ito Smith is the guy they're going to give a start to now. But again, I don't know if I could start any of those guys. But in a pinch, maybe Ito Smith if you're really hurting. Calvin Ridley, number 7 on the wide receiver rankings. Russell Gage, number 38, and that's because Julio Jones is still dinged up. Julio Jones is going to probably make the game, but be on a count. He's number 61 on the wide receiver rankings. And Hayden Hurst, disappointing all year, will continue to disappoint, number 23 on the tight end rankings. It's obvious the Chiefs are going to win this game.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs winning this game as well against the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think it's going to be too much trouble. Matty Ice is a lower end 1, higher end 2 playing Kansas City. He is going to have to throw a lot, so it could help you out. Calvin Ridley is worth the play as well. And Todd Gurley, I mean, we said it, Mike. We said, is this, they gave him a year. So, to give him a year and see what he can do, he's continued to unimpressed. Hayden Hurst, I wasn't impressed with him in Baltimore. I'm not impressed with him in Atlanta. I said that before the season. Todd Gurley, I'm not impressed with him either. He's on one of my teams, and he's not worth playing. So really it's Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley on one side. On the other side is where it's all at. It's Pat Mahomes, it's Le'Veon Bell, it's Tyreek Hill, it's Travis Kelce, and like you said, DeMarcus Robinson, McCole Hardman, and Sammy Watkins are all flex guys because you don't know who's going to get it what week. And when you're deep in the playoffs right now, you don't want to put yourself in a situation, if you're playing your championship game or 1 week away from a potential championship game, you don't want to be in a position where you are relying on any one of those guys to save you. So really for me, it's got to be Kelce, Hill, Le'Veon Bell this week, and Pat Mahomes as I go with Kansas City with you on that one. The next one we have up, Mr. Sofka, in these matchups inside of the NFL. Next game that we have to speak about in this great NFL matchup. And I'm so excited inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour that we have a season to even talk about. I feel very appreciative, thankful to God, first and foremost, that we found a way. I have to thank him first because that's my guide. Outside of that, I want to thank the coaches. I want to thank the players. I want to thank the medical staff. I want to thank Roger Goodell and the NFL for all that they're doing to try and get this thing going off and keep it going. They have done everything they could to make sure the teams play their games, and I appreciate that and respect it. And more than anything else, the players, as far as we know, have been relatively healthy, which has been great. So thank you for that to the NFL. A great gift this Christmas. Cleveland at the New York Jets. What do you got?
Hey, I like Cleveland a lot. Cleveland has a lot going on now. They're led by Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is starting to look like the Baker Mayfield thought we were going to see. He had a little bit of regression, I think, last year, but he almost threw for 300 yards last week. 2 touchdowns, and big deal, you beat the Giants. Well, beat another team in that same stadium, and I know the Jets are high off of that big win. They've won 1 in a row now, but congratulations, Jets, you did it. You took yourself single-handedly out of the race for Trevor Lawrence because, well, he looks like he may go to Jacksonville with the number 1 pick. If I was Jacksonville, I'd do something different. I'll get into more of that on another show when we're talking about the draft. But, the Jets, it's real simple. I can't start any of these guys. I just can't. The highest I have any of them rated is like in the 30s. There is one guy that I want to point out, Frank Gore, 37 years old, still plugging away, the starter, getting goal line carries. He's number 39. So at age 37, he's number 39. He just needs a little harder, and he can be the first guy I have known to have a ranking be the same as their age. Wouldn't that be something for an old man and Frank Gore? Number 39 this week. But again, I can't start Crowder, I can't start Herndon, I can't start any of those guys. The guys that can start on the other side of the ball, but don't get too excited. The Jets do play people tough. They go game, but the degree of separation in the NFL is a game of inches. It's a game of tenth of a second off your 40 time. A lot of these guys are really good. A lot of them are almost really good. By a fraction, they're not that good. And that's where the Jets are. And this is where Cleveland's going to win. But you have to play the game still. And they're going to be able to score some fantasy points. Nick Chubb, number 10 on the rankings, and Kareem Hunt, number 25. Austin Hooper's been up and down, been injured most of the year, number 14 on the tight end rankings. Jarvis Landry's the only guy number 25. I do like Peoples-Jones, but not enough to start him. Maybe on a crazy flyer in the daily league. And I spoke to Baker Mayfield before. The Jets still have a formidable front. They can still get after the quarterback, so he's going to be scrambling. But that's where he usually plays his best wouldn't be surprised if this game is closer than people think. It's 9.5. I think 10 plus. I would take that all day if I was a Jets fan. I got Baker Mayfield number 21. I think Cleveland's going to do enough to win the game, but I don't think they're going to smoke the Jets like everybody thinks.
Yeah, so I think, when we look at this game, and I think, the Jets will make it somewhat interesting, but ultimately, to me, I'm going to go with Cleveland in this matchup, and, I don't think there's any shock of going with Cleveland. Now, is there a chance that this game could go in favor of the Jets and it could continue to be a weird 2020 before we get out of it? Then, yeah, I do believe that as 2020 has been crazy, the Jets could keep winning and say, screw it, we want the number 3 pick or the number 4 pick. Who knows at this point? Fans are all types of confused. They've been through a horrible season. The one thing they had to look forward to is a number 1 pick, and now they don't have the number 1 pick as it stands. So on Cleveland's side of it, as they go up against a Jets team that is confusing, to say the least. Baker Mayfield, worth the play. I think he's a lower-end one, but still worth the play. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, I like them both. Jarvis Landry, obviously, is worth the play for you as well. Austin Heppa hasn't been great, and so I'd probably stay away from that. On the Jets side of things, Frank Gore, as Mike and I tell you, is 115 years old. Ty Johnson did score. I almost picked him up last week. He's a sneaky flex for you as a running back 4. Jamison Crowder is your best bet at wide receiver. And the win goes to Cleveland, in my opinion. The last one before we take a step aside for a fast break, here inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Whether you're going out there to see the games or you're staying home to watch the games, you can get in touch with them. Go to 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus to watch the games. Or if you want to watch them at home or at your buddy's house or with your girlfriends or whatever you got going on, curbside pickup, takeout, delivery, and catering by calling 315-487-2222. 315-487, and then just have your little kid hit the button too. 2222 for the Wildcat Sports Pub. Colts at the Steelers, Mike. What do you got?
Yeah, the Colts, this is going to be a great game. I'm going to start this coverage here of this particular game with a knock-knock joke. You ready, Dan? Knock-knock.
I love that you do. I think you should do this every week. Who's there?
Owen.
Owen who?
0-3 in their last 3 games. Are you kidding me, Steelers? You lost to Cincinnati. What is going on? You've been exposed for the paper champions you are, Pittsburgh. You just can't move the ball. You can't run the ball. James Conner's been dinged up. Benny Snell's not the answer. He's strictly a third down passing back. Yeah, he can pass block and he can catch the ball in the flat, and that's what they need him for, but I can't rank that guy. And James Conner, I don't know if he's going to play. That's a problem. The thing that isn't a problem is you robbing fantasy points from the wide receivers because Ben's going to have to throw the ball. That's going to put him at number 15 on the quarterback rankings. And Juju, Deontay, and Chase Claypool. Each one of these guys has a distinction. Deontay Johnson has a distinction of having the most drops in the NFL, and he's still number 14 on my ranking. So if he stops the drops, what does that tell you? This guy can ball. Juju Smith-Schuster, bro, you need to stop dancing on other people's logos. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy in a championship game or something, or a high-level SEC game, but SEC players don't even do that. You know why? They're true professionals. You're showing your youth, Juju. You're being exposed, and these other guys, Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson, are going to pass you up. You better get yourself in line. However, you're doing a good job, and you're still number 20 on my rankings this week. Chase Claypool, the rookie, came out of nowhere, but he's been a flash in the pan so far. Ben does a good job of spreading the ball around, so that has settled Chase Claypool more into a wide receiver 3 like he is, and he is. He's number 35 on my rankings this week. Eric Ebron also gets a lot of goal line red zone touches, or targets, I should say. Number 12 on the tight end rankings. On the other side of the ball, Indianapolis, there's some value here. Jonathan Taylor's having a stellar year, as long as he's healthy and on the field, that is. He's number 9 on the running back rankings. Naeem Hines, number 30. He's the pass-catching guy, but Naeem Hines can run between the tackles. That's a sneaky guy there. I like him a lot as a sneaky flex play in daily leagues. T.Y. Hilton, number 21 on the wide receiver rankings. I can rank one other receiver. That's Michael Pittman, 54. Trey Burton, 32. He's just an emergency valve, and Phillip Rivers has been, up and down here and there. I can't start him anywhere. He's number 28. I would love to pick the Steelers to rebound off this game. I would love to say that, yes, the Steelers can win in their own crib against a good team, but they're not playing good football right now. I'm going to take the Colts.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The Steelers, again, they were the last team that remained undefeated. And since being that last team that was undefeated, they've only been defeated. And, losing the games that they lost, losing to Washington that doesn't even have a name, losing to a Cincinnati team that doesn't have their starting quarterback and number one pick, it's crazy. And in the midst of all of that, losing to the Bills, which Mike and I both told you was going to happen, they were 11-0, and since then they've gone 0-3, folks. They already locked up a playoff spot, thank goodness for them. But ultimately, I think the Colts are going to take advantage of this. Mike, I'm picking the Colts too. Jonathan Taylor, I like. Nyheim Hines, it's tough because he's been limited, but he's a running back / wide receiver. When he was at NC State, he was a little bit of everything, an H-back, so to speak. So I do think he's worth a flex. I do like Jonathan Taylor there. T.Y. Hilton had 71 yards. He is worth the play. And so is Michael Pittman Jr., but Pittman is a wide receiver 4. I still think T.Y. Hilton's a wide receiver 3 because of everything he's done, maybe a low-end 2. On the other side of it for Pittsburgh, Big Ben running. I think he's a quarterback 2, in my opinion, at this point. I can't trust anybody running the ball for them. I like Juju in the game as a wide receiver 2. And that's really it. Thanks to Eric Ebron for not scoring 20 points, which pushed me forward in my fantasy playoffs. So all I needed was for him to not go off, and he did not go off. But Eric Ebron right now is dealing with a questionable back injury. Really, the value is in Juju on Pittsburgh's side. So I have to go with the Colts in this matchup. Mike and I will take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we'll bring you the rest of our Week 16 in fantasy football. You are listening to the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And you can call them for curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery at 3-1, as well as catering at 315-487-2222. We'll be back to talk about the Bears at the Jaguars, as Nick Foles will have an opportunity to see his old team, and so will Allen Robinson II when the Jaguars host the Chicago Bears. The Jaguars now in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick. Will they stay in the driver's seat? Well, we'll see. This week on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll continue our coverage right after this inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us, and we'll talk with you in just a second after you hear from these fantastic partners inside of Central and Upstate New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. We are inside of the beautiful, wonderful Cafe Kubal studios here. Cafe Kubal with 5 locations, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, and 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse. And their newest location, their giant behemoth of a building that looks absolutely immaculate, going into Manlius on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. Go check them out at any one of their locations and get my DT Special Pumpkin Spice Chai today. We got the Christmas tree here. We got Sofka here. Of course, myself, Dan Tortora, I'm here with you inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of and not a Fantasy Football Power Hour, but the one to watch, presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And, of course, curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery for the family. And with all these football games in college and pro going on, you can order a pizza and some wings and whatever you want from the Wildcat. I love the Philly cheesesteak. I'm also a big fan of their chicken Caesar wrap. Go and get all of that by calling 315-487-2222 for curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery. Or go check them out inside 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Now more than ever, the Wildcat and all of the companies here in Central and Upstate New York that partner with Wake Up Call, I would appreciate your patronage and appreciate you coming by and seeing them, whether you're there to pick something up or there to sit down and enjoy it. However you want to celebrate with our local companies, as well as Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Carvel DeWitt, with international names but a local feel in our community. And I can tell you that from personal experience of working with each of them. Chicago at Jacksonville. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, Jacksonville, I hope you don't pull a Jets and start messing up your opportunity to get Trevor Lawrence. I like Gardner Mitchum. I think he's done excellent since being thrust into the starting position as a 6th-round pick. But he's had talent around him, and he continues to have some talent. It's a combination of things, just poor management decisions, poor personnel decisions, at times poor coaching, and at times injury. I get it, but it is what it is. Football is a business. It's a sport, but it's a business first. So Gardner Minshew this week, number 20 on the rankings. James Robinson's injured. It could be Dare Ogun will be running the ball a lot if James Robinson doesn't take the field. So there's your dark horse guy. But I'm not counting on that guy. I can't start him. Wide receivers. Jacksonville has some excellent wide receivers. DJ Shark, Laviska Shenault, D.D. Westbrook when he can be healthy. Chris Conley's a consummate veteran. Keelan Cole has his moments. Colin Johnson's a rookie that can burst on the scene. So any one of these guys could make it happen. You got to go back to the quarterback situation. That's why they need Trevor Lawrence. DJ Shark, number 23 on my rankings. Laviska Shenault, 55. Tyler Eifert, again, not doing much. Nobody's doing anything from the tight end position in Jacksonville in a long time. He's number 27 on the rankings. On the other side of the ball is where more value is. Chicago's still got something to play for. So Chicago's got to win, and Jacksonville's got to lose. Guess what? I think that's going to happen on both accounts. Trubisky, number 10 on the quarterback rankings. Dave Montgomery, number 4. Allen Robinson, number 4. I'm not starting any other wide receivers, even Anthony Miller or Darryl Mooney. I'm just not doing it. And Cole Kmet has got himself that starting role over Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham's a sneaky red zone touchdown only league guy, but Cole Kmet is a superior pass blocker, so that's going to keep him on the field a lot longer when he's not a target. He can run block as well. I got to go with the better talent, the better coaching, the better management right now. Between these two teams, they're headed in opposite directions. I'm taking the Bears.
Yeah, this is a very interesting game because of where the Bears. We know that they've been pretenders, but they're still 7-7 and they're still in the playoff hunt. Whereas the Jacksonville Jaguars are way out of it at 1-13 on the season. 1-13, folks. Blah. So it's like, huh. But that's how I feel about it. But Jacksonville in this matchup. Let's go to Chicago first. I think obviously there's some value in Mitch because he's playing the Jaguars, so he's a quarterback too. In this for me this week, and then David Montgomery worth the play. Allen Robinson playing his old team. I'd give him a wide receiver 2 low end or 3 designation. Mooney and Miller, because they're playing Jacksonville, they could be flex guys. Cole Kmet, worth it for you as well, and Jimmy Graham. A lot of value for these guys that I normally don't tell you to play because they're playing Jacksonville. Gardner Minshew on the other side, we know he could throw the ball, and we know that he's doing his thing. So if he ends up starting, he is worth the play. If he ends up starting, DJ Chark is worth the play as well. And then James Robinson, if he is able to go, he has been a savior of my season. He's been huge for me. Questionable with an ankle injury. If he's able to play, you got to put him out there. If not, then it's Ogunbowale or Devin Ozigbo. So there's an Ogun or an Ozig. So one of those two.
You did better with that one than I did. That's for sure.
Yeah, Darren. I feel like Jim Carrey and Liar always like shabba flabba humfumte. So, but I'm gonna have to go with Gardner Minshew if he starts, and DJ Chark Jr. James Robinson's your best bet if he does play, though. And I'm going to have to go with the Chi-Town, especially if James Robinson's not going to be out there. It's got to be Chi-Town, who somehow, some way, snuck into it. I thought we were talking about the fact they weren't going to the playoffs. Now, all of a sudden, they could still be a playoff team in Chicago. So, you fall asleep this year for a half a millisecond in the NFL and things change. We all know that with the Jets. They thought they had it locked up that they were getting the number 1 pick. Now, all of a sudden, Chicago could be a playoff team and Jacksonville could be the number 1 pick. Next up that we got here is the New York Giants at the Baltimore Ravens. 2 teams that, mind you, played in a Super Bowl a long time ago. And here we go. New York Giants at the Ravens. What do you got?
Yeah, this is going to be all Baltimore, and this is no surprise to anybody. I mean, Baltimore's a superior team. I think the turning point in the season was Lamar Jackson coming in out of the locker room in the fourth quarter when he had gone down with cramps. We'll talk about that off the air. He had cramps, and all of a sudden he magically came out of the locker room a few pounds lighter and looked a lot quicker on his feet. And even his own partner in crime, Robert Griffin Jr., put out a tweet about that. So if you get a chance, search that out. It's pretty funny. But you'll look back on that and say that was the turning point. It sure was. Lamar Jackson, number 8 on the quarterback rankings. The Giants, not so much on the quarterback rankings. Not sure if Daniel Jones is going to make the game or if it's going to be Colt McCoy. It's probably going to be Daniel Jones, but I'm not starting him against Baltimore. Baltimore runs the ball. They run the ball well. If they can jump out on a lead with somebody and be winning the game by the first or second quarter, then they'll continue to pound the ball. They do that because they split up the carries with J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram goes out there as the starter, runs a play or two, then you don't see him again. Gus Edwards handles the ball and scores when he's not in your fantasy lineup. He's on your bench. And J.K. Dobbins, he's back. He's healthy. He's the one guy I like, 26 on the running back rankings. Marquise Brown, not consistent enough. But if somebody's going to catch the ball, it's probably going to be him, number 32 on the rankings. However, in the past 2 weeks, I have seen Miles Boykin get a touchdown each week. That's a real deep pick because he's disappointed everyone since he's been drafted the same draft class as Marquise Brown. Mark Andrews, number 3 on the tight end rankings. You already know that. He's a highly productive player. The Giants, not so much. I got one guy I can start on the Giants, and that's Evan Ingram, on the tight end rankings because all the talent is on Baltimore's side. The game's in Baltimore. You got to go with the Ravens.
Yeah, in this game, the Super Bowl they played against each other was back in 2001 with Trent Dilfer and Kerry Collins. Girl, what you know about that? 34-7, the Giants lost to the Baltimore Ravens, and Ray Lewis got Super Bowl 35 MVP honors as well as Defensive Player of the Year. Trent Dilfer and Brandon Stokely doing their thing. Awesome Super Bowl. I had a temperature of, I believe, 102 that night, or 101, and I stayed up and I watched almost the entire Super Bowl. Slept all day and woke up on the pull-out couch to watch the Super Bowl. So I remember that, and hopefully this year I'll be feeling better during this game. But the Giants at the Ravens, I got to go with the Ravens as well. No doubt in my mind about this. Daniel Jones is injured. Colt McCoy's doing his thing. If Daniel Jones doesn't play with an ankle injury, he's questionable. Wayne Gallman, I don't see a lot of value playing Baltimore. I don't see any value on the Giants except for Evan Engram. On the other side of it, Lamar Jackson, just to let y'all know about the guy who's not a good quarterback. 43 and I'm being facetious, and by being facetious, that means that I'm not telling you what I actually think. I'm being sarcastic, and by being sarcastic, if you don't know what that means, then please go back to school or talk to someone who has good humor. 43 passing touchdowns, 12 rushing touchdowns, and no interceptions in the red zone in his career in the NFL. Just to let you know, that guy who's pretty good for a running back. Lamar Jackson, worth the play. Dobbs is he's okay. Mark Ingram's been a healthy scratch, which has been strange. But J.K. Dobbins taking over. Gus Edwards, I told you not to forget about the man. He's still the number 2 guy. I think Dobbs is worth a play at running back 2 or 3. Hollywood Brown did a couple good things for me. Got me almost 16 points. He's not a bad play this week. And Mr. Miles Boykin is a flex wide receiver 4. And then Mark Andrews. Really, it's Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, and a little bit of J.K. Dobbins with maybe some Marquise Hollywood Brown sprinkled in. Like I said, I got the Ravens in this one to win the game. Next game up, we have a team that's playing for nothing versus a team that's playing for nothing. And they both had they didn't have Brock Osweiler. I'm sitting here trying to give the Bengals credit. Sorry, that was the Browns. So we have a Bengals team going into Houston. What did I say about the Texans? They've been winning the AFC South, not because they're a great team, but because all the other teams pretty much have played very bad football in recent years. Well, now it's not the case with the Titans and the Colts, which is why Houston is 3rd. What do you have for the Bengals at the Texans? Also the fact that Houston thought it was a fantastic idea to get rid of DeAndre Hopkins, which ultimately led to the firing of their former head coach and general manager. Moving on, Bengals at Houston. I'm not surprised that Houston is where they are, Mike. I don't know if you are. I would venture to say you're not. Who's winning this game?
Yeah, Houston has a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Houston can't stop the run. Yeah, they have J.J. Watt, but he's a pass-rushing guy. Yeah, he can stay out there, every down if you need, but he's becoming more just a pass-rushing guy. They need to be able to stop the run. This bodes well for Giovanni Bernard, not Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's still with that lingering issue, and at this point, why rush him back? What are you, 3-10-1? You're not going to do anything by rushing him back, but set him back for next year. Keep him out these last 2 games. Then you got Giovanni Bernard. However, it's Giovanni Bernard. He's spotty, but Houston does give up the run. I got him ranked number 27 on the rankings this week. On the other side of the ball is David Johnson, number 14. You're not going to see Duke Johnson anymore. And isn't it funny that Houston is where the Johnson Space Center is, and they got 2 running backs named Johnson? That's a weird coincidence. Hey, Deshaun Watson's Houston, and he's the heartbeat. He's number 4 on the rankings. Cincinnati, well, their heartbeat's injured. Joe Burrow's injured. Of course, he's done. Brandon Allen looked good, then he was struggling, now he's hurt. It's going to be Ryan Finley again. I think Ryan Finley's just putting some game film together. He's going to try to get something to look good because I don't know if he's going to be around much longer for the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 31 on the quarterback rankings. And the receivers. T. Higgins has been spotty. Tyler Boyd's been a drop-off, and A.J. Brown has all but disappeared. I got Higgins at 16, Boyd at 28. Drew Sample's been making it on my list a little bit, number 25, so that tells you I can't really start that guy. The guy I can start at tight end is Jordan Akins. I like him a lot. Number 16 on my tight end rankings. He's not my tight end one, but he's a sneaky pick if I have a deep league. He's probably still out there on your waiver wire is what I'm saying. Brandy Cook's number 19 on the wide receiver rankings. Kiki Kuti, number 26, looked bad when he was going to the end zone, stretched, and then fumbled into the end zone. I give the guy an A for effort and an F for being able to produce from that. So, I think Deshaun Watson's the best player on the field. I got to go with the team that's got the best player on the field. They're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to catch the ball. I just don't think they're going to be able to stop the run. But they got Deshaun Watson. He creates problems for other teams. Cincinnati's on a high right now from beating the Steelers. Big letdown this week. Cincinnati comes back to reality. Houston still can't stop the run, but they're going to find a way to win the game. I'm going to go with the Texans.
Yeah, this game is crazy in the sense of what Houston just did, or what Cincinnati, just did, which is beat the Steelers and hand them their third loss in a row, which Mike and I talked about earlier on here in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, probably presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Cincinnati, put it to you like this. Not only did they win, Ryan Finley, who I've been touting as an awesome quarterback to kind of get a steal on. I think they got him in the 4th round a couple of years ago. But getting a steal out of him from NC State, he only threw 13 passes in the win over the Steelers. He only threw 13 passes. Roethlisberger threw 38. He only threw 13, went 7-13, 1 touchdown, no picks. Ryan Finley, who I know to be a tall, stand in the pocket, great footwork, but stays in the pocket, quarterback who stays in the pocket. Did I mention, no, it's not that your computer is skipping. I'm just keep saying stays in the pocket. He ran for 10 times, 47 yards, 4.7 yards a carry, and a touchdown. Not only can the Steelers not run without Connor, they can't stop the run. Ryan Finley, I've never known to be a running quarterback. Giovanni Bernard had a touchdown in that game as well. Craziness going on. I got Cincinnati winning this game. Let's talk about it. I like Ryan Finley in the matchup. I think that, if you can play 2 quarterbacks, he's a nice one to throw in there, unless you're like me and you have Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, then you play them both. But I like Giovanni Bernard in the game. I like T. Higgins in the game as well. On the other side of it for Houston, as bad as they are, Mike and I tell you to play Deshaun Watson. As Mike said, he is Houston, and I agree with that. Kiki Kuti and Brandon Cooks are wide receiver flexes for me, probably wide receiver 4s for you in your situation. Ryan Finley, keep doing your thing, brother. And Pittsburgh, really? The guy who stays in the pocket, you let run for almost 5 yards a carry and a touchdown? All right, do you, boo-boo. I'm going with with Bengals on the road. Mike's going with Houston. Denver at the Chargers. What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, it's an interesting game for fantasy purposes only. Justin Herbert's been great this year. Because he's been so good, you can count on the other players on his team. It all starts with the quarterback. Well, that all starts with the coaching. Well, that all starts with the management. See, it trickles downhill. Management makes a decision. They make an excellent draft pick. The coach coaches them up, throws them in the game, and he's flourished all year. Justin Herbert, number 9 on the quarterback rankings this week. On the other side of the ball, another guy who's a young, 27 on the rankings, Drew Lock. He's not getting it done. Drew Lock needs to take it down a notch. When he scores and when he does something good, he acts like he won the Super Bowl and he's dancing all over the place. I get it. You're excited. You're in the NFL. But tone that down a bit. Act like you've been there before. Be professional and celebrate when you win the Super Bowl. How about that? On the running backs, the running backs here is where you're going to make a little bit of money. The running backs here are interesting to me because Austin Eckler is full head of steam. He was injured for quite a while. He's probably on your team, or maybe not if you're in a championship because you've done without him for so long. Number 3 on the running back rankings this week. Keenan Allen, number 8. Hunter Henry, number 7. So there's all top 10 guys in all 4 primary positions in fantasy for you with Herbert, Eckler, Allen, and Hunter Henry. That bodes well for them to win the game because the only guy I can really start on the other side of the ball is Noah Fant, number 10. Maybe I could start a Melvin Gordon, number 21 on my rankings. Philip Lindsay, 38. I can't start any of the receivers over there at Denver. 63 for Judy, 53 for Patrick. I'm going to go with the team that has the better players, the better fantasy players, and I think the Chargers are going to win this one.
Yeah, I think that the Chargers aren't a bad team, you know what I mean? And with Justin Herbert, like I said, he could go down as the better of the quarterbacks toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow. I mean, Tua's been doing well. Burrow did some good things, too. It's going to be tough, but I really like Justin Herbert. I mean, he stepped in the first game he had to play, and he almost beat Kansas City. So they're 5-9. They're eliminated from the playoffs. Denver is too, so neither team has anything to play for as far as postseason goes. But as I spoke about with Papa Joe earlier, you don't throw games because I just don't believe in it. So Drew Lock, I think he's a quarterback too in this. Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay have just been they throw you off. They really do. So I mean, I guess you play Melvin Gordon above Phillip Lindsay, but Gordon's a running back too. Jerry Jeudy, not a bad play, but he has continued to dip here. Tim Patrick couldn't get going recently. KJ Hamler. I mean, the reality of it all is there's been some good, but ultimately it hasn't been consistent. If you had to pick anybody, it would be Jeudy, but Jeudy has fallen off with me a little bit. He's been on my roster. He's fallen off with me a bit here. So Noah Fant, I don't think is a bad play for you, a low-end tight end 1. Jeudy, I think, is a wide receiver, low-end 2, I would have to say. I like Justin Herbert in this game. I like Austin Eckler being back, which is good to see. I like Keenan Allen in the matchup as well, and Hunter Henry is also worth the play. So I would say there is fantasy value on both sides. I'm going to have to go with the Chargers at home. Washington at the team that has no name. What do you got?
Yeah, the Panthers.
Or not, pardon me, not Washington. Carolina at the team that has no name.
The Panthers then the team with no name here. I just got to call out Dwayne Haskins here. You're starting to remind me of Jameis Winston, okay? Yeah. Now, before, I don't like to cast judgment on people. We've all been there. We've all been young. We've all made bad decisions. Jameis Winston was a bad decision maker. He drove the bus in Tampa, and he drove it right into a lake time after time after time. Well, Mike, he threw for all those yards and all those touchdowns. Remember, he had 35 touchdowns. Yeah, he had 35 picks, too, and half of them were for 6 going the other way. He had to have those yards and those touchdowns to play catch-up, to bail his team out because they were making bad decisions and off the field. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is Dwayne Haskins just had a bad decision off the field. There's viral video of him in a strip club with no mask on. You know what the reality of that situation is? Now they got to back everything up. They got to do contact tracing. He can't be in the quarterback room because now Alex Smith may get COVID or may be exposed. You're ruining the team, buddy. I predict that Dwayne Haskins is not going to be long on the Washington football team. Makes bad decisions off the field, makes bad decisions on the field. That's why he's not starting. Alex Smith, comeback player of the year, but he's only number 26 on my rankings because, well, he's Alex Smith. He's not the Alex Smith that we knew 10 years ago. J.D. McKissick is a guy that surprised everybody this year, number 15 on my running back rankings. Antonio Gibson, I don't think he's going to make the game. He was doubtful last I checked. Peyton Barber hasn't done anything with his chance that he was given. Terry McLaurin's the one wide receiver you can start here, number 18 on my rankings. And Logan Thomas has been a surprise as well, number 6 on my tight end rankings this week. On the other side of the ball with Carolina, I hope they don't rush McCaffrey back. Just shut it down at this point. The guy, shoulder, the high ankle, you got nothing to play for here. You're 4-10. Shut it down, okay? Teddy Bridgewater, number 17 on my rankings. Mike Davis is dependent on a CMC to not make the game, to still be shut down. If so, he's number 18 on the running back rankings. And the wide receivers, very similar to the situation in Pittsburgh. They got guys in the teens, 20s, and 30s. It's a nice spread, and there's value if you get them. But a lot of times we overpay for these names, like a DJ Moore, number 23, Robbie Anderson, number 22 on the rankings, and Curtis Samuel, nice surprise this year after a bad start to the preseason for him, number 30 on the wide receiver rankings. I can't start a tight end there. He's the best tight end on the field on the other side of the ball, and Logan Thomas. I hate to have to pick a winner in this one. I'm going to have to just go with Washington because they're the home team.
Yeah, I think that, Washington's had a lot of trouble. They've had their owner, Dan Snyder, up for stuff going on, unsavory things. And then on top of that, you have this going on with obviously, it's been ridiculous. From Dan Snyder to the issue now with their quarterback. And it's just, Dwayne Haskins, it looks like a guy who's lost control. It looks like a guy who's upset. It looks like a guy who, is dealing with the fact that he's not a starter right now, and that his career seems like it's trending. It is trending downward, and he just got into the NFL. Mike, I miss the days where the things you could catch in a strip club weren't COVID-19. So, back in the day where it was just about crabs. But the reality of it all is I got to go in this matchup with Mike Davis. If Christian McCaffrey doesn't play, I agree with you. Shut it down. DJ Moore I picked up this week. I think he's worth picking up. DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. And on the other side of it with Washington, Alex Smith was the number 1 pick in 2005. Then almost never played football again. He is the comeback player of the year. What is crazy is Dwayne Haskins won't be cut after the violation is going to happen here, but he's the guy besides Taylor Heineke that could actually play right now because Kyle Allen's hurt. So Alex Smith kind of has to hobble his way into the game. Terry McLaurin's the only guy that I would say is worth playing. The value's on Carolina's side. I'm going to pick Carolina, and Dwayne, just remember that a strip club will bring you a lot of things. It won't bring you a wife. It won't bring you happiness. And it also won't protect you from COVID-19 without a mask on. With that being stated, we move forward. I have so many jokes to tell, and none of them are appropriate. The next one that we have...
I got them too.
The next one that we have is Philadelphia at Dallas. Folks, you might think that this game doesn't have the same spotlight and the same excitement of past years, but guess what, baby? This is a playoff potential game right here. This is a game that's got all the marbles in it because every team in the NFC East is still in playoff contention. So you might think Philly-Dallas doesn't mean anything this year, but it means a lot. And just like other years, but in a very weird way, it's coming down to the wire. Normally it's 8-8, 9-7, 7-9. Nope, this year it's all under 500, but it has playoff implications. Philly-Dallas, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, I think there's better players on Philly's team just across the board. Somebody's going to need to win this game. If we're not letting you two leave, it's kind of like if you had a brother, a close-age brother or a best friend, and you guys were squabbling, and the parents put on that giant shirt and put you both in there, and you guys are going to get along. Well, you guys, somebody's going to win this game is what I'm trying to say. We're not letting you out of that room until somebody wins. We know you're 4-9-1 Philly. We know you're 5-9 Dallas. But somebody's got to win this. Oh, maybe not, because Philly's already tied a game this year. These teams are both horrible. You know what, though? There's a spark in Philadelphia. Carson Wentz hasn't been the man for a long time. He's been hanging on. They draft Jalen Hurts. They give him the opportunity. He sets off a spark in the offense. I think the other players can feel that electricity. I think the other players want to play harder now, want to play better. Yes, the wide receivers are all pick and choose, and you can't count on any of them right now. They're spreading the ball around, but Jalen Hurts is playing out of his mind. He's exceeded my expectations. He's the number 6 quarterback on my rankings this week. Meanwhile, you got old man steady Eddie Andy Dalton on the other side. Again, he's that Mendoza line guy, number 16 on the quarterback rankings. Going over to running back, Miles Sanders. He's the best running back on the field. Yes, I know Zeke plays for Dallas, but Miles Sanders is better. He's number 7 on the running back rankings. I got Zeke, who's hobbled still, number 16. And Tony Pollard was one of my pickups of the week. I had several guys that I work with through my website, Hall of Fame Fantasy Football, that put them in the championship by picking up Tony Pollard Sunday morning. And he went off, and these guys are now in the championship. So that's where the money's at. But he's number 32. But he and Zeke are going to cannibalize each other. There's a nice spread. Andy Dalton can spread the ball around. Amari Cooper, 27 on the rankings. C.D. Lamb, number 29. And Dalton Schultz, a red zone at 13. ranking. On the other side of the ball, again, I can't start any of the wide receivers. One of them's going to go off. I don't know which of the 5 are, but Dallas Goedert's the guy you can count on, number 5 on the tight end rankings. Zach Ertz, been hurt, trying to come back, struggling to make himself relevant in the offense. Hopefully he can build a relationship with Jalen Hurts. He's number 22 on the tight end rankings. I got to go with the team with the better players, and the better players are the Eagles.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup because of the playoff implications. Philly can tie. They tied Joe Burrow earlier on in the season. I like Jalen Hurts in the matchup, and Jalen Reagor is actually hurt. So from Hurts to hurt, Greg Ward Jr., how about the man that I was in the locker room with as he kissed the trophy when Houston won the first ever American Athletic Championship game? And Greg Ward was there as the quarterback. Now he's a wide receiver, and he's fought his way in the NFL to be out there, and now he's arguably the number 1 guy if Reagor doesn't play. So I like Greg Ward as a sneaky flex for you. I like Dallas Goedert in this game, and I like Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. On the other side of it, Andy Dalton hasn't been bad. He's a quarterback too, though. And then Zeke Elliott, he hasn't been great, hasn't looked like himself. He's questionable. Tony Pollard, I would give him a look as a running back 3, with or without Zeke Elliott, because if Zeke's not 100% and he hasn't been that great this season, I still like Tony Pollard, who has the Snickers chain on. If Zeke does play, he's worth the play for you. Amari Cooper, but just temper your expectations with Zeke. I think Tony's a good play this week. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb worth the play, as Michael Gallup is nursing an injury right now. Michael Gallup currently is questionable with a hip injury. And Dalton Schultz, who they had to pick when they didn't get Dallas Goedert, I got to put Dalton Schultz here as a tight end too. So there's value on both sides, kind of evenly matched. It's tough for me to pick this game because I feel like it is evenly matched. I think Jalen Hurts can go off, which is making me want to pick Philadelphia, but I'm actually going to pick Dallas in this game to win the game. I think they're going to make it interesting here in a fight for first place in the NFC East, but I do like Jalen Hurts as the number 1 fantasy player of the day, with a little sneaky Tony Pollard love. The Rams at the Seahawks, Mike, this has implications for the NFC West, and there's a lot of great stuff going on with Seattle. LA just lost to the Jets. What do you have for this one?
Yeah, for the Rams, you got to look at them and go, you lost to the Jets. Are you serious? And that's what happened. They didn't take things serious. They were playing the Jets. And you could see the frustration in the post-game interviews by the coaching staff and the players. They know they took the win for granted, and the Jets smacked them in the mouth. The Rams, though, have good players on their team. I think Seattle's got better players on their team. For instance, at quarterback, you compare the 2 quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, number 11 on my rankings this week. Jared Goff, number 19. You look at the running backs. Well, Chris Carson's the steady Eddie guy if he can stay healthy. But old man Carlos Hyde looked pretty good last week on a 30-yard touchdown scamper around the outside. Carson ranked 13, Hyde ranked 54, and DK Metcalf, number 12, Tyler Lockett, number 15. That's what lets Russ cook, if you would. He's got 2 guys that can be your starter on your fantasy squad in Lockett and Metcalf. Can't start any tight end over there on that side of the ball. Going back to L.A., the one guy I like, Robert Woods, number 6 on the wide receiver rankings. Cooper Kupp, number 24. Tyler Higbee, number 24 as well. And at the running back situation, Cam Akers injured. Darrell Henderson was still out there last night. A lot of people gave up on him and Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown might be the goal line vulture, the red zone guy. Darrell Henderson should get the bulk of the carries. But Malcolm Brown, if you're in a touchdown-only league, that's the way you want to go. Darrell Henderson, number 24 on the rankings. Malcolm Brown, number 34. I'm going to step out here, and I'm going to say that Seattle's got the better players, but I think the Rams are going to respond to positive coaching this week, and I think the Rams are going to find a way to win this game and muck up that NFC West.
Yeah, the NFC West, very different, like I said, from the NFC East. the Arizona and the Rams are still in play for the playoffs. Rams are 9-5. The Cardinals are 8-6. Mike and I both picked the Cardinals to win, which would put them at 9-6. I'm picking the Rams to lose, which would put them at 9-6 as well and make things interesting. Seattle has already clinched their playoff berth at 10-4, but they haven't won the division yet. So this is a huge implication game. A lot of things to play for, and I'm picking Seattle at home as Mike is picking the Rams on the road. And either way, this puts both teams potentially in the playoffs. We know Seattle will be, but like I said, Seattle's still trying to win the division. The Rams trying to get in the playoffs. In this matchup, Darrell Henderson becomes your guy, and so he is worth the play as Cam Akers is out. Darrell Henderson Jr., I would give him a running back 2 designation, in my opinion. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods worth the play as well. And Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee. You might as well call them Gerald Higbee and Tyler Everett because we don't know who it's going to be. It's all mixed up. So I like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. I like Woods more than Kupp. And I like Darrell Henderson in the matchup. On the other side of it for Seattle, I like Russ the Bus, Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. All worth the play. I got Seattle. I would like Lockett and Metcalf to both do a good job. Unless I'm playing Lockett this week, well, then I hope that he does an okay job. But I have DK Metcalf in this matchup, and I think there's a lot of value on Seattle's side. And there's value on the Rams side as well, but ultimately I have to go with Seattle to try and lock up this division as the Rams will be fighting the Cardinals for the right to go to the playoffs. Sunday and Monday night coming up right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You're inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. You can go there on site to watch the games. You can also call for curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery at 315-487-2222 for the Wildcats. And, of course, Mr. Sofka is of Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. Check that out. And follow our group. Go and join that group today on Facebook. The group that we have there is the Winning Fantasy Football group. That's Winning Fantasy Football. Type that into your search bar on Facebook. You'll find us, and it is free to join, so make sure you do that today. With that being stated, Mike and I will be back after this fast break with the final piece of Week 16 of the NFL. Hard to believe we're already in Week 16, but thankfully, and thanks to God, we made it this far. And we will continue to go from here. Stay positive, folks. Listen in to these great partners in Central and Upstate New York, and Mike and I will be back to wrap up the week right after this.
Avicoli's Restaurant, located right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, is proud to be your local neighbor, growing with you for over 20 years. We're open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. For takeout, delivery, or catering, call us at 315-622-5100. When you order online and use our promo code ABS10, you will save 10% on your online purchase at myavicolis.com. And make sure to join us monthly for our live on-site broadcasts centered around Liverpool athletics. Avicoli's, your local, trusted neighbor right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Trapper's Pizza Pub, Located on 5950 Butternut Drive in East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street, is your local community supporter right around the corner. Join us on site at Trapper's Pizza Pub for our live monthly broadcast supporting Central New York student athletes and their sports programs. Call 315-438-4444 for more information. And find us on Facebook and Instagram at Trapper's Pizza Pub. Trapper's Pizza Pub, your local community supporter, right around the corner.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook Live on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. We're inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, decorated for Christmas, rocking my Christmas shirts all week long, and of course, this is the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Mike Sofka and I are hanging out here. We got Sunday and Monday night to go, Mr. Sofka. So let's hop right into the final two games of Week 16 as we are in the Fantasy Football Playoffs. So those of you that have made it to the playoffs, congratulations. I hope you all do well and may the best teams win. Tennessee at Green Bay, Mike. This is a good old game here. What do you got for it?
Yeah, both teams won games they should have won last week. The Packers, were at home against the Panthers, and the Titans were at home against the Lions. Two teams that are just train wrecks right now, if you would. These teams are opposite of train wrecks, and the Packers are still playing something. The Titans are still playing for something. So this is going to be a good game on the field. It's going to be an interesting game to watch. I don't have any reservations about any of the fantasy play in this game. I think there's a lot of value on both sides of the ball. The number one player on the field, though, is Devonte Adams. He gets all the looks from Aaron Rodgers. Devonte Adams, number one on the wide receiver rankings. Aaron Rodgers, the other end of that, number 7. And Aaron Jones, number 5. And look, Robert Tonyan, number 11. So they got all four positions. You got a top 12 guy there, and that's what you want in fantasy. Robert Tonyan, of course, is a goal line guy. He's a red zone guy. That's the guy you want in a touchdown-only league. Tennessee, Ryan Tannehill's done a stellar job this year, I think, number 14 on the rankings. Derrick Henry, again, I'm still surprised he's running the ball for Tennessee Titans after he owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. But he's number 6 on the running back rankings this week. A.J. Brown, number 9. Corey Davis, number 31. Jonnu Smith, number 17. I think this is going to be an excellent game. Could be a back-and-forth game. Could be a very high-scoring affair. That bodes well for fantasy players. So look deep for the value in these players here. I'm going to go with Green Bay simply because they're the home team, and it's going to be 28 degrees at kickoff.
This is going to be a fantastic game because Green Bay has already won the NFC North. They've locked up their playoff spot and won their division at 11-3. And right behind that, Tennessee is 10-4. But the Colts, as I told you at the beginning of the season, would vie to fight with them there. They're also 10-4. And so Tennessee's still trying to win the AFC South, while the NFC North is already wrapped up by the Packers. This is going to be a fantastic game. I like Derrick Henry in the matchup. A.J. Brown as well in this matchup is worth playing. Double-digit touchdowns, which is great for him. Corey Davis is a flex because he's a wide receiver 3 because he's inconsistent. But I like A.J. Brown starting to shape up here for my team, like Derrick Henry as well. Jonnu Smith got 5 passes. Jeff Swaim, the backup, is injured, which puts Anthony Ferkshire and McCole Pruitt behind him. But Jonnu is a tight end 2. On the other side for the Packers, I like Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devonte Adams. Alan Lazard is back, so he's a sneaky flex for you. Robert Tonyan, I would put him behind Jonnu Smith, but he's still... Well, actually, I put him probably... No, I put him behind him. So he's out there for you as well. There's value on both sides, but I got to go with the Titans in this one. They got more to play for, that they're trying to wrap up that division. A win over the Packers would be huge for them, and the Packers have already locked in. Not that they're not going to continue to rock it, but they've already locked in their playoff spot and locked in their division. So I'm going to pick Tennessee to make things interesting there in the AFC South. I think it's going to be a great game. I think this game could get up into the 30s, and I hope that it does for the fantasy value for those of you that are excited about it. The last game that we have, this normally is a game that we're asking, will Buffalo steal one from the Patriots? Well, we don't have to worry about Buffalo stealing anything. The Patriots are not going to the playoffs. Everybody go crazy. So, people are ecstatic. 31 team fans around the world are saying, wow, thank you. Bill Belichick didn't do it all by himself. Tom Brady and the rub and tugs of Bob Kraft it couldn't get done the way that they wanted to do it. We thought, Bill Belichick's done a lot this year. He's figured out some things. He's won some games in the rain that have really confused me. When the rain machine was working just for the game, just for the Patriots, sometimes it felt like Buffalo is going to the playoffs. They have won the division. The Buffalo Bills are back on top, 11-3. Miami is 9-5. The Patriots are out at 6-8, and the Jets are done at 1-13. What are your thoughts as Buffalo will meet the eliminated New England Patriots, and Buffalo is not going to they're not going to hold on to the gas at all. They see that the Patriots are on the ropes. They see they're falling down to the mat, and they want to keep beating the heck out of it because they don't want to just they don't want to just win this wrestling match. They don't want to just win in the ring. They want to win going away. They want to get as many hits in as they possibly can. So, yes, people, I would never tell you to be violent. This is only an analogy. But Buffalo sees them on the ropes, and they're going to keep hitting because they want to be able to raise their glove and have as much blood on it as possible. Buffalo, New England, what do you got?
Yeah, the evil empire is no more this year. We're not playing a Star Wars team. I'm not looking at Darth Vader anymore. Now Tom Brady can say it was me, it wasn't Belichick. But how dare he? Because they were a great combination. It is what it is. They helped each other. They worked with each other well, and they were able to produce. So hats off to them for being able to do it. But the shine is gone. Look for maybe a Ryan Finley, a Matt Stafford, somebody of that nature to be the quarterback next year. I don't think the Cam Newton thing's working very well. He's number 18 on my rankings this week, but I just don't think it's a good fit for what they're trying to do. They're going to go youth, but they're going to go with somebody that has some experience because they can't count on Brian Hoyer or Jarrett Stidham. So Buffalo has the opposite problem. They have a guy who's accelerated. They have a guy who was completing passes in the low 60s, high 50s, putting him at the bottom end of NFL quarterbacks. Now he's almost at 70%. He's changed his throwing motion. He changed the mechanics. He worked on this all summer, and it shows. He's been doing great. Number 3 on the quarterback rankings this week. This is where the money's going to be made. This is where the sneakiness is because Miami pounded the Patriots with the run, wore them down, and were able to come back in the second half and win that game by 10 points. Well, Buffalo has some running backs. I pray they use them effectively. Devin Singletary, number 28. Unfortunately, I can't even rank Zach Moss. He's disappointed ever since he's come back from injury. Stephon Diggs, number 5 on the wide receiver rankings. Colt Beasley back down to 36. Dawson Knox, I can't count on him. He's at 29. On the other side of the ball, I already told you the one guy you can count on, and that's Cam. And that's primarily in a touchdown-only league because Cam likes him some Cam. Cam will call his own number all the time, especially near the goal line. So look for Cam to get a touchdown or two. One of them's going to be a sneak in the goal line. He's not going to have 100 yards rushing. He's not going to have 200 yards passing. Buffalo's going to man up. They're going to win this game, and Josh Allen's going to look like an MVP. I'm going with Buffalo.
Circle them wagons, baby. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills as well in this matchup. Josh Allen worth the play. Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis worth a 3 and a 4 look at wide receiver, respectively. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, can't figure him out. But if you got him as your running back 3 on your list, that's an okay for me. 3 or 4. Josh Allen really is the shine there fantasy-wise. On the other side, it's Cam Newton, and I don't trust anybody else. Their tight ends, nada. Their wide receivers, meh. Their running backs, Sony Michel, first-round pick, not working out. So at the end of the day, it's Buffalo in fantasy. It's Buffalo in reality. Circle them wagons, folks. The Bills gon' get it done once again, and they will continue to improve on a fantastic season with a quarterback in Josh Allen that I got excited about, and then even more excited about when I watched his film coming out of Wyoming when he got drafted, and I saw that arm. So congratulations to Buffalo on a season that has only just begun. Stay focused on your next task at hand, which is the Patriots, and then obviously going from there to the playoffs. Mike, this has been Week 16. You can find Mike at HallOfFameFantasyFootball.com. You can also find us both at Winning Fantasy Football, the Facebook group. As always, Mr. Sofka, I appreciate you. And from my family to yours, my heart to yours, and from my fantasy football self to your fantasy football self, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you for being one of the greatest things that Wake Up Call can be thankful for year in and year out. I wish you a very Merry Christmas. I appreciate your faith, your belief in God, and your love for this world and your love for fantasy. Thank you for being the person that you are and for being unapologetically the bearded Mike Sofka that we respect so much. I appreciate you. I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I thank you for everything.
Well, thank you, Dan. Merry Christmas to you. And I know there's somebody in one of your fantasy leagues who's looking for this year, of course. I'm talking about the lovely Lisa. She's striving for the championship in the Wake Up Call DT League on ESPN. She's still alive. She had the best record in the league, the best team in the league. Oh, and she's won the last 3 championships consecutively. 17, 18, and 19. Hats off to the lovely Lisa for doing a good job there. And I'm just very fortunate to even know that woman. So I'm very happy for her. Have a Merry Christmas, Dan. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. And, again, reach out to me with any fantasy questions. And you can do that right through that Facebook group, like Dan said, Winning Fantasy Football on Facebook.
All right, Mike, we'll talk with you soon. Merry Christmas.
All right, Merry Christmas, Dan. Thanks.
Take care. That coming from Mike Sofka once again. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, doing our thing here where sports truly meets life. I want to thank Papa Joe. I want to thank Mike Sofka. I want to thank this week's guests of Mike Oresco, as well as Jason Lucas, Gary Stokin, Brendan Murphy. The Ingredients to Success brought to you by Avicoli's Wildcat, bringing you the Fantasy Football Power Hour, as well as the Top Dog of the Week being brought to you by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. The Annoying Moment of the Week being brought to you by Carvel DeWitt. Many thanks to everyone that made this week all that it is and all that it can be and all that it became. I want to thank Cincinnati. Obviously, my Q&As, I want to thank Luke Fickell, the head coach of the Cincinnati football team inside of the American. I also would like to thank his players, Cole Smith, his kicker, as well as safety Derek Forrest and quarterback Desmond Ritter. My best to you as you have Georgia coming up. And to Tulsa, I want to thank Trayvon Reeves, their linebacker, Corey Taylor II, their running back, and head coach Philip Montgomery, who just had a birthday this week. So happy birthday to Philip Montgomery, and God bless you. And to them going up against Mississippi State in bowl season, and hopefully my best to them. Obviously, my best to them with that. So big shout out to all my guests this week. You made this Christmas week fantastic. You gave us great content, and it all linked up and connected to one another. So on behalf of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I have a very special thing coming up. I said I was going to do it on December 21st. I'm actually going to hold it for New Year's. So I have a really cool thing coming up to us for 2021. As we go out of 2020 into 2021, I will have a fantastic announcement that I'll have some kind of show and tell, bring your things to the show day. So make sure you stay close with us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Wake Up Call is not done yet this week. We have a special tonight at the Wildcat Sports Pub, our Christmas week special with Eugene Waldron of Syracuse Orange basketball history. No Syracuse basketball this week due to the fact that of coronavirus, of Buffalo testing positive. So no game against Notre Dame. We now know there's not going to be a game against Wake Forest. Both of those games postponed. So the only Syracuse basketball that you have right now is with Gene Waldron and I, which gives you even more of a reason to come to the Wildcat and hang out with us. And so come see us tonight at the Wildcat Sports Pub. We'll be excited to see you there at the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, 5:30 p.m. tonight, Wednesday, December 23rd, for the only Syracuse basketball content you're going to get for the next couple weeks. So come out and see Gene Waldron and I tonight at the Wildcat. And obviously, wear your mask, wash your hands, practice proper social distancing, enjoy some food and a live show. We'll be live on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT as we are right now. And we'll see you there. So Wake Up Call's got one more thing left this week, and we will do that for you proudly. In the meantime, God bless, no stress, do your best. On behalf of myself and all of my loved ones and everybody, all of our business partners here in Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on behalf of Cafe Cubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Honda City of Liverpool, Trapper's Pizza Pub, the Millhouse Market, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. God bless to you all. Find the show by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Podbean. And, of course, next week we'll be back in our regularly scheduled broadcast on Monday on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We will see you at the Wildcat tonight, and we'll hang out with you after that next week on the broadcast. Have a very Merry Christmas Eve and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Again, and a Happy Kwanzaa. On behalf of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I hope you had a great Hanukkah as well. Merry Christmas. God bless you all. From my family to yours. May you have a fantastic end of 2020 and a great start of 2021. Plenty coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We love you. I love you. One of the greatest things I can say all year. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.